Welcome to the podcast. Today we are talking about, among other things, an absolutely viral blog that has just went out. It's hit 40 million views on this thing. It's by our friend Matt Shumer. It's called Something Big is Happening. And it's kind of interesting because we have a lot of people that feel like, say, AI is hyped and a lot of things going on is hyped. This is a very compelling case that we have seen some drastically different things we haven't seen in the past. So I'm kicking this right over to you, Connor. You were telling me all about this blog post. You're super stoked about it. What is the most alarming things that people should be concerned about with this blog?
So the reason that we wanted to talk about this on AI Applied is that when things kind of like get out of our bubble, Jaeden, that's when things kind of get interesting, right? I mean, like it's one of these things where it's very hard to get out of the world where everybody's thinking about AI in kind of the same way we are, right? Like on LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. I know that your X algorithm is like all about basically this and faith and things like that, but it's really sort of like driven by everybody sort of basically feels the same way about AI. Now, there's other giant pockets of the world that are like, well, is this really going to happen with AI, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is about those pockets is that they're not just pockets. It's like most of the world, it feels like sometimes. And every time I get out of, just workshops that we do with AI Mindset or giant, enterprise partnerships we do with AI Mindset, those places I'm walking into a corporation where everybody's like, okay, let's get this done. But then I'm in like, I'm in an Uber or, on a train or in a Starbucks or whatever, and I just talk to people. It's just wildly different. And so I think we're sort of like running the gamut here of people being like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And now sort of like there's the backlash of like, oh my gosh, this is like crazy. We hate AI. Let me just sort of like summarize this in case you haven't seen it, and it's been all over everywhere. But just to sort of like summarize it. So Schumer is the CEO of Hyperwrite, right? Sort of like, and that's a company that's actually been around for like at least a little while. And what he was saying is that he's sort of like comparing the current AI moment to February 2020 when people were sort of like dismissing COVID-19 and all that kind of stuff. And essentially what he's saying though is something fairly straightforward, but it's breaking out, which is anything that you can do on a computer can almost be done by AI or will be done by AI. Basically meaning like if your job happens on a screen, AI is coming for a huge part of it. And what this kind of was triggered by was, I think it was all the new models, right? Which is, first of all, I think Claude made its really big splash. I think it's probably fair to say, and I don't remember when it was, December or whatever, when Opus 4.5 came out, and everybody's like, whoa, what is this? I use Opus 4.5. I don't want to say exclusively. I just like use it a ton. That and Gemini, I use a ton. But like GPT-5.3 Codex is now up there as well. Opus 4.6 just came out, et cetera. And again, these things, I think what everybody's sort of like startled by is that if we had done the Turing test now, it would have blown past all of that. Like we've already blown by. I mean, there's people sort of saying like, this is already AGI, and it's hard to argue with that. And so what do we actually think about here? We start thinking now, this is essentially AI that's creating itself. And Jaeden, that, my friend, is something akin to a flywheel, right? When I can't remember the engineer's name, Boris, whoever over from who essentially built Claude Code, is saying that they basically built Claude Cowork in like 10 days from Claude Code. Claude Code built Claude Cowork in like 10 days, which is insane. In the same way, early Codex built new Codex. People have to sort of like be really paying attention to that. So I don't know that his recommendations are that helpful. He's sort of like start using AI seriously, which Jaeden, as you know, the way we do it, right. I mean, like we kind of know that already, right? The idea here is instead like, how do you do that? And our whole point is like, it has to be a behavioral shift, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, it's all the same advice people have been giving forever. But Jaeden, the fact that this has broken out, the fact that this particular one and has led to both people saying like, whoa, maybe we really are in a moment, and other people sort of saying like, oh my gosh, AI is coming, we got to like shut it down. You're out in the world too. Like, how do you sort of like see this? What are you experiencing when you hear all that?
The first thing is that I think he has a really good point, and one of the basically the catalyst for this whole moment, I think, is a lot of these new models that just came out with their latest additions. And the big change that we saw with specifically OpenAI and Anthropic was that they had these quote unquote swarms. Now it's kind of interesting because we over at AI Box developing what we're building with our AI tool builder, we actually were looking at a company, I believe, no sponsor, but I think it was called Swarm.ai. And we literally were looking at using this tool, which put together a whole bunch of different AI models, all these agents to go and work in kind of clusters and get jobs done. Well, that company, I mean, essentially just got nuked by Anthropic and OpenAI, who in their latest models both rolled out features that
Right.
for, they're essentially doing Swarm. Specifically, Anthropic in this 4.6 model they just put out. I was just talking to my CTO today. We have this massive project. I mean, basically, we redesigned our entire app and like the workflow of like every single page on it. Like it's a complete overhaul of the whole thing. And normally, this is a massive project, multi-month, multi-developer. I mean, it's a Hercules effort. And he said with the new Claude Swarm, I mean, basically Claude Swarm, that's what I'm calling it, but they're new agents
Mhm.
where essentially you give it a task and it will spin up, instead of just one thread, it'll spin up 6 or 7 threads. It'll give them each different elements. They'll all work in tangent. You go 6 times as fast. It's way smarter. And he's literally on this whole redesign. He personally is going to just handle the entire redesign by himself. And he thinks we can get it done in a few days. Like, to
It's
me, that
crazy.
is insane. And I mean, when I say, oh, this would take like a few developers, like a few months, I mean, I'm talking developers using Claude Code. I'm not saying like random people doing this from scratch. So I think we are at a massive jump. And obviously, that's just my personal experience on a project I'm working on. But I think he makes a great point, which is we're going to see this in a lot of different areas. Specifically, here's what he says. He has a prediction that 50% of entry level work could be eliminated within 1 to 5 years. White
Yeah.
collar jobs are extremely exposed, and anything done primarily on a computer, he says, is vulnerable. Now, also think that every single major AI lab is specifically targeting this kind of computer work. We have OpenAI agents, which has been around for a
Hmm.
while, but it's getting better. We have Anthropic targeting this, and we also have XAI that just spun out a completely separate lab inside of XAI to target this specifically. So everyone's focusing on it. Microsoft's working on it. Everyone's working on it, and the moment it clicks, I think it. I mean, it really is game over for people that are doing any sort of repetitive task, any sort of like I just don't think we're going to use computers the same way. We're not going to go and do a thing. We're going to tell the computer to do the thing for us. We're never going to have to learn UI for a website, which I personally am super thrilled about. But I
Yeah.
do think it's a complete shift. People will still be doing it. Is my only caveat for all of the alarmists.
Yeah.
People are still going to be directing it, but you're not going to be doing the thing. You're going to be directing the thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's right, and I think it's fair, and I also think this idea of what it can do and what it will do is an interesting question, right? Because Dario Amodei is sort of saying the same kind of thing, like, within 5 years, 50% of white collar work will be automated. Amodei, I think that's up from, I think, didn't he say like 25% like 6 months ago?
Yeah.
So that's kind of freaking me out a little bit. But the other point about this, guys, and this is where I want everybody to be thinking, because everybody listening to the sound of my voice is either working or aspiring to work. Probably, I guess you could be retired. But here's the point about this. It's actually not about what AI can do right now. It's what are people going to use AI to do, and what is the kind of political will inside organizations to do this. So what I would say is that, like, one of the giant things that's happening right now is that a lot of organizations aren't doing this. Can AI do it? Yes, absolutely. Like, if everybody's using AI to their fullest to the fullest extent of what it can do, we would have wiped out tons and tons of jobs. It reminds me, Jaden, a lot of so I do a lot of like work with HR teams and things like that. And there's been a big movement over the last, I don't know, 7-8 years around like skills based work. I mean, it's probably around before that, but don't hire into roles, hire for skills, all that kind of stuff, which makes a lot of sense, right? It's a lot more nimble, a lot more flexible, agile, all that kind of stuff. But I don't see organizations doing that. Why? Because of the reality of corporate America, right? I mean, like, there is a role. You know what I mean? Like, and what are you going to do? Like, get rid of the person in that role? Or what are you going to do? Like, just like hire a person into a skill? Well, eventually that fit a role. And when you have an entire corporate culture where everybody's in a hierarchy, you can't have just like somebody like buzzing around because they have a great set of skills. It's just, it ignores the reality of how work is done. And this is the only thing that I would sort of say about this and Amadei's things, which I don't remember if he said at Davos or something like that, but this idea, same concept, like, hey guys, this is real and this is coming. The I think people overestimate sort of like how quickly things are going to change in the short term. Now, there's a giant caveat to that, which is I just got back from this giant workshop in Vienna, and there was somebody there who I won't obviously like name, but he was in sort of like a giant private equity backed thing. This is a company based in Europe that has probably a couple tens of thousands of people. And what he is saying is, listen, like, here's what the thing that we are being told is like cut 10% of staff every year. We are being told, like, don't allow, don't take don't allow lawyers to sort of charge you the same. Don't allow accountants to charge you the same. Don't allow consultants to charge you the same, because watch. And like what I was doing in these workshops, Jaden, like these days, which I haven't done before, is like I'm demoing like Claude Code, I'm demoing vibe coding, I'm demoing all this stuff, not so that people will use it, but just like, guys, this is what can be done right now in Notebook LM with a deck. And it takes about 9 minutes, and between deep research and Notebook LM, and I can create this entire thing that would have taken weeks and multiple people to create. And I'm not, and you know me, Jaden, I'm not a big hype guy like that, but people have to know that. So I think the one caveat here is, will people actually do it? And they'll probably be actually done it if they are like private equity backed and they're spurred to do it. So again, I know we're sort of like about 10 minutes in or something like that here, Jaden. So we're going to be like wrapping up in a second here, but thoughts on that, on like how this is actually going to evolve in the future?
Well, the one thing that I thought was interesting from this, just kind of the overall blog post that it was talking about, which I think is a great point, is basically just that progress is accelerating exponentially. So we're not seeing like a linear growth here, because the models are getting better. They're actually able to do things. And it's not like the models have a mind of their own. Like, people are directing them, but like with, AI Box, what we're building, we're going 6 times faster because of an update that got dropped a few days ago today than we were going like a week ago. To me, that is insane. That's exponential. And I think there's a lot of these improvements that just keep coming out. And I'll give you a kind of a funny example. The other day, on AI Box, we have this like little customer support button on the bottom. We just like built it. It was really ghetto, and I actually kind of hate it because it like automatically sends all of our customer support into like a Discord chat with me, and I can see it. And sometimes the person's email's not there. It's just not perfect, right? And I'm like, okay. When we first launched our beta, it was fine, but I'm like, okay, time to grow up. The company's getting a lot of users. I'm like, what do we use? Like Intercom or like whatever. We're looking at all the other options. And at the end of the day, I'm like, honestly, like for how complex a lot of these systems are and whatever they want to charge me, I'm like, I bet you I could just go on Lovable and like build this. And so last night I went on Lovable. I'm like, just build me an Intercom clone that like does this, this, this. I should be able to log into a portal, message people directly on their like in their logged in account, blah, blah. Dude, 10 minutes later, I had a working prototype. I'm going to go tweak that and work on it. So yeah, it's not 10 minutes. I'll probably spend a day or two playing with this thing. But like, that is a company that you would spend, like, Intercom's pricing, in case anyone's aware, is $40 a month minimum per seat. So if you have a customer support team of 1,000 people, you're paying $40 a month for each of them. Okay, can you just vibe code that thing in 2 days? And I actually have a friend that recently did that with HubSpot. He just replaced a $70,000 a year subscription to HubSpot for his team. So like, no shade to Intercom or HubSpot or anyone else, but I think what you're seeing, what your experience backs up what is happening, which is that we can just build these tools faster. A lot of people can do them. A lot of things are going to be automated and personalized to your company. And we're definitely living in a different time. Anyways, thank you everyone so much for tuning into the podcast. Wild times. Things are definitely picking up. We'll be updating you on everything going on. If you wouldn't mind leaving us a rating and review wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. I'm talking to you right now from the Orlando airport, so hopefully the intercom's not too loud and you guys got some good value out of the episode. We appreciate all of you. We'll catch you guys all in the next episode.